What it do, everybody? This is Junior Zamarone coming at you from Ukiah, California for another edition of Baseball, Bobbleheads, and Brews. Before we get today's show started, I'd like to give a shout out to the Bros podcast. They had me on their show recently where we talked about my Roberto Clemente collection and all things hobby related. Their podcast is available on Spotify. Run on over, give that a check out. But first, we're going to be talking about the late great Lou Brock. Then, we're going to be talking about a bobblehead with 2 Hall of Famers on it. And finally, we're going to be talking about an urban brew out of St. Louis, Missouri. Like the icon Sting says, it's showtime, folks! Sadly, the baseball world lost one of the greatest base stealers of all time. Lou Brock passed away September 6th at the age of 81. Brock is a member of the Cardinals Hall of Fame and was enshrined into Cooperstown in 1985, the year that I was born. Sweet Lou played 19 seasons in MLB. He started his career out in 1961 with the Chicago Cubs. He was traded to the rival St. Louis Cardinals in 1964. As a member of the Redbirds, Lou Brock is a 6-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, and led the National League in stolen bases 8 different times. In 1977, Lou broke Ty Cobb's all-time stolen base record of 892. Lou finished his career with 938 stolen bases, a record that stood for 20 years until 1991 when it was broken by Rickey Henderson. Lou Brock joined the 3,000 hit club in 1979. He did so against his old team, the Chicago Cubs. At the end of that season, Lou retired. The Cardinals honored him by retiring his number, a feat at that time was only bestowed to members of the Hall of Fame. Lou's legacy goes further than baseball, as he won the 1975 Roberto Clemente Award, given away to those that make the biggest impact in their community. Lou Brock was an ordained minister. He shared his faith freely with many. His teammate Ted Simmons said, Lou had the greatest smile. When he walked into a room, he would really brighten it up. Lou was the greatest base stealer of his era. He played the game with class, dignity, and honor. He'll be sorely missed by Cardinal Nation and all of MLB. Rest in peace, Lou. This week's bobblehead comes from my sub-collection, Dual Bobbleheads. It's the Stan Musial and Red Shandiest Dual Bobblehead, given away by the St. Louis Cardinals in September of 2019 to 30,000 fans in attendance. Sadly, again, this bobblehead does not have a manufacturer's mark on it. Bobblehead companies out there, mark your stuff, especially if you put together a really cool looking bobblehead. Let everybody know that you are at the top of your bobble game. The bobblehead depicts the former roommates on the top step of the dugout. It sits at 7.5 inches tall, making it a full-size, dual bobblehead. My guess would be that it's ceramic, based on the heaviness to it. There's slight inconsistencies in the paint, especially with marks on the face, hat, and on the stirrup. For me, it has the best jersey in Cardinals history. It was first introduced in 1949 and is the inspiration for the current cream-colored jersey that the team wears today. When I look at autographs and pictures of Stan the Man, it just screams this jersey. The bobblehead celebrates both men's enshrinement into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Red got in 1989 and Stan got in 1969. If you plan on shipping this bobblehead, make sure that you wrap both sets of ankles with plenty of bubble wrap. I've heard horror stories that while in shipping, it has broken off the base. Now this bobblehead fits any collection, whether you're collecting Hall of Famers or dual bobbleheads like myself. This week's brew comes from St. Louis, Missouri. The Urban Chestnut Brewing Company was founded in 2010 by two former employees from Anheuser-Busch. It's an unconventional brewery that focuses on New World techniques, but with an Old World approach. They mainly sell lagers and ales, and strive to be leaders in their communities with their urban efforts. The beer I selected this week is the Stan Musial No. 6 Classic American Lager. It was made to honor Stan the Man's 100th birthday. It's made with pearl hops, rice malt, and a special yeast made by Urban Chestnut Brewing Company that predates Prohibition. It sits at 4.5% alcohol by volume, making it a perfect game day brew. Now, there's a distinct aroma from the yeast. And you get that malty flavor, but it has a crisp finish. Now, there's a slight undertone of hops, but it's not really heavy. It hits you in the back of the palate and lingers, but it's not really heavy. I'd say it's like a Budweiser, but with a lot more flavor. I think this is a beer worthy of a Hall of Famer. Here's to you, Stan. Cheers. Now I'm going to leave a link in the description below to Spotify so you can catch the Bobble Bros podcast. Be on the lookout for our episode coming soon. I'm also going to link you up with Urban Chestnut Brewing Company. That way you can find their beer near you. As always, thank you for joining us, and catch us next time on Baseball, Bobbleheads, and Brews.